A year ago, we did a tech summit in Pittsburgh, and GE Appliances is one of our sponsors of the Alliance, and they joined us for that session, and they were talking about, at that time, some code changes that were going to come down the pike within the next year related to hot water. And since it's very timely now, we thought we would reintroduce the topic to you, that we'd bring someone in from GE to share some background information on these changes now that they're actually coming to fruition. Okay, so the Alliance community, we have 75 leading builders who participate in the Alliance, and we're focused on home quality and performance. Certainly energy efficiency is a big part of that and a big focus for what we're talking about today. And wanted to take a moment to thank all of our sponsors really for making sessions like this possible and allowing us to bring some of the latest education and information to our members. So certainly thanks to GE for leading this session today. And Greg Holliday is our speaker from General Electric. He's been there for 30 years in the appliances and building industry, and he does quite a bit of education for GE on a regular basis with builders, utilities, and all of these other folks that we've got mentioned here, not only on what GE offers from a product standpoint, but as we're talking about today, what is going on with codes and what do they need to be aware of so that they're building a higher quality and higher performing home. So welcome, Greg.
Thank you. Now we're all on the same page. As I was mentioning earlier when you and I first talked, it was so appropriate that you had lobsters at the front of the screen, because I've spent this week up until 11:30 last night when I flew back to Kentucky in Maine, enjoying working with Efficiency Maine and some of our distributors up there, but also eating lobster every single day. It's a personal goal that I have in life when I go into the New England states, that I have to eat the local food, and lobster is as good as it gets. So if anybody needs any tips for some good lobster places to go, if you're in Portland area or even South Portland, shoot me an email, because I got a couple of great spots that you're going to love. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys for giving me a chance to be able to do this today. What a wonderful opportunity to speak to a lot of people, and I say speak to you because I want you to be able to speak back. I want you to be able to raise your hand and bring questions. I do this presentation, I've done it thousands of times over the last 4 or 5 years as we've been waiting for this pivotal day in history to take place on April 16th. And I don't want to race through something. If somebody has a question, we'll have some spots where we're going to take a break and let you guys be able to text those things in or ask the questions along the way. Because this is a pivotal year. This is a history-making year for the water heating industry, and it will change everything today that we know about water heating, because it's going to affect every builder in the country, every plumber in the country, and then eventually every homeowner in the country as we move to this new energy standard. One of the things that's part of that education is understanding, as a homeowner and as a builder, the energy profile of the house. And we all understand that the heating and air system provides the biggest drain on our finances. We work very hard to try to make that the most efficient that we can, trying to hit those 15 SEER. In my house here in Kentucky, I put geothermal in 23 years ago. Most expensive heating and cooling system you could have, but it had a calculated payback of 14 years, and I knew that going into it. So I did it so that I could not only afford to build my house, but afford to live in it. So heating and air, highest energy user in the house. But what most people have no clue of is that water heating is the second highest single energy user. And that the third category that most people would guess to be second is appliances. Third category. For the first time ever, we now have something to challenge that second highest single energy user in the home. And that's called the Energy Star standard. Oops, a little too fast there. Energy Star has been around since 1992. And I remember seeing the commercials and things on television that tried to introduce the whole concept of what Energy Star means. Energy Star was to represent best-in-class, highest efficient products as proven through technology, testing, and training. So they approached the highest energy user in the home first, that being the HVAC industry, and said, guys, We're going to do a lot of educating with the American public on the energy profile of the house. We would love for you to be a part of this. Can you build something that's 10% more efficient than what you make today? And they said, yes, we think we can. So what did they do? In 1995, they introduced the first ever Energy Star HVAC system. That was supposed to be the best in class. And what's happened since then is every few years, the DOE raises that bar. And now today, we're hitting efficiencies that we never dreamed of. Then they went to the water heating industry and they said, guys, can you build a product that's 10% more efficient than what you build today? And the water heating industry scratched their head and said, no, we don't think we can. So for all of these years, for 23 years, there's been a free pass on water heaters being Energy Star rated until 2009. And all it took was one company being able to stand up that was big enough to introduce a product that could show that this could actually be used in this country through testing, through data, not just through marketing, but through proving the concept of heat pump water heaters to create this whole new standard. And that's what happened in 2009. Every manufacturer was hit with the same challenge, and that's create a water heater that uses less energy than what you use today. Most people have no clue that water heaters across the board, all of them, gas, electric, solar, everything, they all lose money. It's just a matter of how much money they lose. When you start looking at the efficiencies of water heaters and the cost of operation, if a water heater is 90% efficient, that means it loses 10 cents for every dollar you spend to heat water. If they were 100% efficient, we would be happy with that, because that means you get a fair deal. You get a dollar's worth of hot water for a dollar spent. But there are no 100% efficient water heaters. Gas tankless not 100% efficient. Gas tanks are certainly not 100% efficient. Electric water heaters have come closer, and they're not 100% efficient. So the Energy Star standard comes out, and it basically says this: none of those water heaters will qualify. Specifically on the electric side, you can't be 90% efficient and bump up to 95 and say that's enough to call it Energy Star. No, the standard is this: you have to be a heat pump water heater that's 200% efficient. And the reason the definition shows that it has to be a heat pump water heater is because that's the only method of being able to get above a 100% efficiency rating. Moving heat is cheaper than creating heat, and that's what happens. So water heaters, as you look at them, are rated with what's called an energy factor, and it usually just shows up on a screen as an EF rating. And an EF of a 0.90 means that it's 90% efficient. A heat pump water heater, Energy Star qualified, has to be a 2.0 energy factor, 200% efficient or higher. And pretty much everybody in the industry is well above that 200% efficiency rate. It has to deliver at least 50 gallons in first hour, because that's just a basic requirement of any water heater. If it's a 50-gallon tank, then it should be able to provide in the first hour 50 gallons of usable hot water. It also has to have at least a 6-year minimum parts warranty. That's an industry standard right now. For all other water heaters, heat pump water heaters have to meet that. Now, what's been interesting to see is that heat pump water heaters have surpassed this. Because they are a more expensive product, perceived to have more value, the warranties have been stretched. Some manufacturers, most have a 10-year warranty on parts. Some have even gone to 12. Some have a 1-year labor, which is unheard of in the water heating industry, and others do not. So you have to shop and look at the individual brands to be able to see how that plays out. But what that means is you've got a 10-year asset in the home, not a 6-year. So that helps offset some of the extra costs involved in putting in a heat pump water heater. And most every one of them deliver greater than 50 gallons in a first hour. That's a bare bones minimum. Most of them are looking at somewhere between 65 and 67, which is exactly the same rating that you would have on a standard electric water heater. So as we go through this, I want you to think of this. This is a heat pump water heater, and what you're looking at are hybrids for the most part, which means they are standard electric water heaters with a heat pump, which means performance-wise, the fallback is that it performs equally to any standard electric water heater. That's the worst case scenario. But by utilizing a combination of heat pump and heating elements, they can far surpass what a standard electric water heater does and achieve a much higher efficiency by moving heat rather than just creating heat. Now, the thing that's the most critical for you as builders is this, what you see there at the bottom of the screen, earning HERS points. The HERS rating system is quickly becoming the national standard when it comes to building efficiency homes. People will understand a HERS rating far faster than they'll understand others, because they know that if a net zero home uses some energy, but it also produces energy that offsets that the lower the score, the better the house. And there are a lot of MLS listings in several states now that are showing HERS rating for a house. And they know that if they see a house that has a 60 or a 70 score, and then look at another house that has a 50 or a 55 score, that's a better score. So it's very easy for them to equate that. But the real good part of the story is that heat pump water heaters help you as a builder earn 4 to 7 HERS points, which you got no credit for with the standard electric water heater. So as you evaluate this technology and say, is this right for me in my house? 1, you want to look at the fact that it's Energy Star. 2, you want to look at the fact that it provides an enormous savings for the homeowner. And 3, what do you get out of it? A higher performing home. So when you look at the cost of a heat pump water heater and the fact that it earns 4 to 7 HERS points, ask your HERS evaluator to compare that with how much you had to spend to upgrade the HVAC to earn a similar number of points, or to add a blower somewhere in the house to move air. Other things that you do in the home to earn those HERS points. Heat pump water heaters, dollar for dollar, according to your HERS evaluator, he'll show you this, will be less per point than anything else you're doing in the house. So look at this as an investment of what you're going to be able to get as a builder. And we'll talk at the end of this about some of the utility incentives that are available right now to help you pay for the transition of going from a standard electric water heater to a heat pump water heater. So those are the basics of just getting into Energy Star. So here we are, the countdown to 2015. I've been looking at a calendar like this since 2010, because in 2009, the Energy Star standard goes into play. GE is the first company to offer a heat pump water heater, followed very quickly by Rheem. A year later, A.O. Smith comes on board. So you've got top manufacturers now offering a heat pump water heater. So the federal government looks at this and says, wow, this is a real big deal. Heat pump water heaters save about 3,000 kilowatt hours a year. Let's look at the power grid. 50% of the American homes out there have electric water heaters in them, and 50% have gas or fuel oil. What would happen if that 50% with electric water heaters started switching to heat pump water heaters? And they begin to count the power plants that would save just by taking that second highest single energy user in the house and cutting the bill by at least 50%. So at that point, they decided we need to help people move into this arena very quickly. So we did what we normally do in this country. We passed a law that says it's going to happen. So in 2010, a law was passed that was going to forever change what happens in the water heating industry, and it goes into effect on April 16th. The new standard is basically this. All water heaters have to be more efficient, whether they're gas or electric. This is an across-the-board change for every water heater manufactured. Some water heaters are now being eliminated completely, and others are being upgraded considerably to a higher efficiency rating. But every one of them will change. So what that means is, as a builder this year, you're going to see an average of a 25 to 30% increase in the cost of all water heaters. Not just the heat pump water heaters are more expensive, but every water heater is becoming more expensive because of this reason. Every water heater out there that's electric, that is built, that is 55 gallons or less, today you have selections that start at 82% efficient, 85% efficient, 90, 92, 93. There might be 6 or 7 choices your plumber could have. Starting April 16th, A.O. Smith, Rheem, Bradford White, anybody that builds a standard electric water heater has one number to hit, and that is a 95% efficient water heater. So the market just got changed, because now any water heater that's electric that gets built has to be 95% efficient, or it can't be made. So what this results in is water heaters that are fatter, 2 inches fatter, and a couple of inches taller. A little bit bigger, harder to get in some of the same spaces, but you will still be able to buy a standard electric water heater. It just has to be more efficient. Now you look at 95% efficient and you say, that's pretty good, and it is. It just means you only lose a nickel for every dollar you spend to heat water. Whereas with gas water heaters, the story can be far worse than that. We'll talk about that when we get into the efficiency versus cost of operation here in just a few minutes. So heat pump water heaters are always going to be an option in this size because 50-gallon standard electric water heaters are 95% efficient. Heat pump water heaters will be 200% efficient or higher. You at least have a choice there. Now, this is when it gets real interesting. Water heaters that are above 55 gallons, your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, 100-gallon electric water heaters. Today you have choices, again, starting at 82% efficient and going up. And you primarily use those water heaters in your larger homes, houses that might have a garden tub. The last thing you want to do if you've got a house with a 75 or 80-gallon garden tub is put a 50-gallon water heater in, only to have the homeowner try it out for the first time and find out they can't fill it up with a 50-gallon tank. Even if they could pick it up, carry it over, and pour it in, it wouldn't be enough hot water. So for those homes, you're obviously using a larger water heater. For those standard electric water heaters are now banned from production. No more to be made. Residential water heaters now have to be a heat pump water heater or nothing. So any of those larger water heaters that you're looking to put in, your next selection is going to be a heat pump water heater. And you really won't have a choice about it. So what that means is that every manufacturer started or stopped building their models that they were producing last year. Sometime in January, most every manufacturer took their final orders, placed those final orders, and as of April 16th, they can no longer build an 80-gallon standard electric water heater if it's not a heat pump water heater. So when the inventories that are there today are gone, they're gone. So the question is what are you going to do? Do you have enough space? Did your architect look at your drawings, and was he aware of this law that was put into or passed 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, that's now going into effect this week, next week? Did he take into account for spacing in the houses, the condos, the apartments that he's building? Did he take into account that a heat pump water heater has some significant changes to it, and what are you going to do? Back several weeks ago, I consulted with a builder in Miami, South Miami, building 93 $1.2 million condos, and he had just gotten his revision plans back, laid them on his desk as we're talking about heat pump water heaters, had no clue that he needed these water heaters in the fall of this year, that he wasn't going to be able to get a standard electric water heater because his architect wasn't informed. And as a result, when we looked at the plans, he didn't have enough room. The plans had to go back. He's having to revise them just to make sure. I'm thinking, what a catastrophe that would have been if he hadn't investigated early enough to even make the changes now. If he'd started building this, he would not have had any choice of being able to put gas in or do anything else. They would have been tearing walls out as a result of that. So this is the time to be talking about it. This is the time to be looking and evaluating everything that you're doing, everything that you're building to make sure that a heat pump water heater will work. Now, a lot of you are going to ask plumbers, your plumber, to say, gosh, guys, we're running out of 80-gallon water heaters. What's the other option, and what can we do? And, some plumbers will look at that and say, well, we know we've always got other choices of things that we can offer, and, maybe it's a matter of putting in a couple of standard electric water heaters. So we're going to talk about that as well. This screen right here, and this will be part of the package again that you'll be able to get a copy of all of these slides, shows the other changes that are taking place in the gas industry too. Every water heater has to become more efficient. Gas water heaters have never been as efficient as electric water heaters until you get into condensing tankless units. Most people don't know that a standard gas tank water heater is only 53 to 62% efficient. And they're looking at the price tag on the energy guide and thinking that's what makes the difference, and that means it's a more efficient water heater just because it costs less to operate, and that really isn't true. So the story of efficiency is really going to come out and ring loud and clear when this becomes a national news story in just 6 days. When the news story will say that standard electric water heaters are banned from production, and now you have to put a heat pump water heater in and it costs more, they're going to have to tell the whole story that really is a discussion about efficiency. If the water heater in your house uses 2 times, or in some cases 3 times the electricity of an Energy Star heat pump water heater, then that opens a whole new discussion that says, wow, if it's 3 times more efficient to put a heat pump water heater in, that must mean something I've never heard before, and that is water heater payback. That means that I actually can put a water heater in that will save enough energy that it pays for itself. And that is the true truth about this, and that's the big story that's going to be out there. Is it a heat pump water heater that could be as high as 310% efficient? Instead of losing a nickel for every dollar I spend to heat water, I get $3.10 in hot water for every dollar I spend. So that can be upwards to a $400, $500, $600 a year savings on the energy bill just for putting the right water heater in. On products that have 10-year warranties, that can be $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 that the homeowner will save over the guaranteed life of the water heater just in energy savings. So it's going to become very glaring to them when they walk into a house and see a non-Energy Star water heater sitting in the second highest energy user position in the home. They expect it to be Energy Star when it's HVAC. They expect the appliances to be Energy Star as well. What do you think they're going to say when they see water heaters and they don't see an Energy Star water heater? So those are the things that you've got to be prepared for as you have these conversations. This is the new energy guide. Back up one here. The new 95% efficient electric water heater. The energy guide is going to show that it costs $558 a year. That's based on 2.5 occupants per home. Every manufacturer's product is tested exactly the same way. The more occupants you have for the house, the more you spend in heating water. But just for 2.5 people, for comparison, $558. I happen to be showing my water heater here at $170 a year in operating costs. The annual savings is $388. And again, times the 10-year warranty, that's $3,880. You don't pay the power company that today you currently would with a non-Energy Star water heater. And that's just for 2.5 people. Houses that have 4 people, the Energy Star standard shows on the website, that's a $470 a year savings times 10, $4,700 the homeowner will not pay the power company. This is going to be a driving force in the industry, just as Energy Star appliances have been as well. So water heater growth in this category is going to jump, as you see with this chart. These are actually national sales of heat pump water heaters as reported through the industry. This isn't GE sales, this is national sales. You're going to see this jump and change right now as a result of the changes that are taking place in the industry. And I want you to think in terms of what you've done and seen with gas tankless water heaters over the last 5 or 10 years. 15 years ago, gas tankless water heaters were not used very often. It was hard to get that into the industry. And now they have pretty much become a standard with a lot of builders across the country, simply because sometimes people will drop that name and say, I want a tankless gas water heater. And a lot of times the homeowner doesn't even know why they want that. They just know they've heard of them, and they think it's a good idea. Because if a water heater doesn't run when I'm not in the house, it must be so energy efficient that it pays for itself in energy savings. So they look at that and they say, that's what I want. Well, in just 10 years' time, tankless water heaters, 15 years' time, tankless water heaters have made up now about 10% of all gas water heater sales. And that's without them being federally mandated. Imagine what's going to happen with heat pump water heaters when the public hears that a gas tankless water heater is only 83% efficient, which means when it does run, it loses 17 cents for every dollar you spend to heat water. But maybe you spin up and you put a condensing tankless in and it's 96% efficient. Well, that just means it only loses 4 cents for every dollar you spend to heat water. I teach plumbers sometimes and I'll ask them, what do you tell the homeowner the payback time is? And usually they'll kind of hem and haw around and say, oh, about 10 years. I say, really? If it's 96% efficient, I agree it doesn't use anything when you're not at home and it's not running. But when it is running, if it's losing 4 cents for every dollar you spend to heat water, how do you ever get to a payback story? It has to be over 100% efficient to do that. And today, heat pump water heaters are the only ones that can accomplish that task. Let's move on here. This is a comparison right now. If you want to look at what every manufacturer is putting out, this chart will be available again for you to see. You see A.O. Smith in the front there. A.O. Smith is the parent company for Whirlpool, American, State, Reliance, and they also market under the Kenmore name. It's the same heat pump water heater, just has a different name on it, and they make 3 different sizes. And you'll see the Rheem brand. Rheem sells that product to a trade, but they also sell that through some of the big box stores, as does A.O. Smith. Then you'll see Air Generate there on the end. Then you'll also see my water heaters at the end as well. My water heaters are available in 2 different ways. You can buy a GeoSpring either in retail as a retail model, or through the plumbing trade you can buy a Pro Series water heater that's not available in retail that actually has higher features and high efficiency. But I want you to see this because you have to make a choice. And you want to make the choice based on brand. You want to make the choice based on what your plumber is going to support, what's going to be the easiest to install and transport, and what the homeowner ultimately is going to want to see in the house. And that's really where it kind of gets interesting when it comes to water heaters. Making sure that the homeowner recognizes the brand that they know and trust with a 10-year asset. So examine each one of these carefully. Look at the warranties. Some warranties for water heaters traditionally, they do not transfer when the house sells for a 10-year asset. Other manufacturers like us, the warranty stays in place for 10 full years. Doesn't matter who bought it. Doesn't matter that they don't have a receipt for anything. Those are the things you want to consider. So look this chart over very carefully and see the different places the connections are going to be made, how they fit, because they all have a little bit different characteristics on how you would install one of these, and we'll generically talk about some of that as we go through some of the next slides. This is what generates a lot of questions right here, and this really is the main topic of conversation to kind of get your head wrapped around what heat pump water heaters do versus everything else, and that's the efficiency versus cost of operation. People look at energy guides on products, and the assumption is always going to be if it says that it costs less to operate, it must be better, without taking into account the fuel source. Gas as a commodity has always been less expensive than electric as a commodity. So electricity costs a little bit more in most states, depending on where you live. In Kentucky, we're at about 8 cents a kilowatt hour, but if you get up into Massachusetts, it's 20 cents a kilowatt hour. So it depends on where you live as to how big that story is. But gas has traditionally been cheaper, so people assume gas water heaters must be more efficient as a result of that. So if you look at a standard gas tank water heater and you read the energy guide, it says that it costs $315 a year to operate. But if you dig deep and look at the EF, the energy factor on that water heater, it's only 58% efficient. That's a lot of loss. As the cost of gas goes up, people will begin to pay attention to the efficiency of a gas water heater. And of course, installing a gas water heater, you have very specific places you try to put it in the house because you got a vent stack coming off of it, and that determines where that water heater is going to have to be. So some people will say, let's go up to a tankless water heater. Well, to be Energy Star, you got to start at 83% efficient. You can go up to 96, 97% efficient with a condensing unit. Much more expensive, and of course, tankless water heaters don't run when you're not at home, so there is some savings that you can see there. But the difference is instead of running with a 40 or 45,000 BTU burner on a tank water heater, when a tankless water heater runs, it's pushing 180 to 200,000 BTUs. So it kind of makes up for some of the gas usage. When it does run, it uses and consumes a whole lot more gas. But the hidden thing about gas tankless water heaters is this. 85% of this country has hard water, which means if you put a gas tankless water heater in, the homeowner finds out real quick after they've lived in the house 1 or 2 years that there is a maintenance bill that comes along with that. And that means that it has to be cleaned. It has to be descaled. That is a provision of the warranty that says if you keep it clean, the warranty stays intact. If you don't keep it clean, then the warranty is in jeopardy. And the only way around that is either putting a water softener in the house or making sure that the homeowner cleans that water heater every 1 to 2 years on schedule to keep the lines on that clear. Because the water lines are only about the size of your little finger. Now you get to an electric water heater, which has always been the easiest to install because it can go pretty much anywhere in the house with no venting, and they've been 90% efficient. You only lose 10 cents for every dollar you spend to heat water, but in many states, the cost of electricity is far more than the cost of gas. So now that cost of a water heater goes up to $585 a year for the 90% efficient. It'll go to $558 for a 95. That's the difference in savings. $585 down to $558 when it hits a 95% efficient rating. And the cost of that water heater goes up about 30% when that happens. And then you look at a heat pump water heater, and again, I'm showing you an example of mine, 310% efficient. Every other manufacturer is going to be over 200% efficient as well. But you're looking at an operating cost annually of $170 a year based on the average cost per kilowatt of 12 cents a kilowatt hour. So there is a significant savings. When a manufacturer says that it's a $388 a year savings, that's simply comparing energy guides. If you take 558 minus 170, that's how you get $388 a year in savings. And again, the more people in the house there are, the higher the energy bill is for heating water, and the greater the opportunity for savings. So, plumber comes to you, he's talking, of course, to a purchasing manager with a builder or a property manager, and they say, wow, heat pump water heaters are more expensive. What else could I do? And a smart plumber who's used to being pressured for price says, well, let's just put two 40-gallon or two 50-gallon water heaters in a house, and let's just go with that because that's a few $100s cheaper. Well, a purchasing manager for a builder says, that's what I like to hear. It's going to cost less. You're going to help me keep the cost of the house down. And then I usually say to the builder, let's bring in your marketing people and let's talk to them about what the homeowner's going to see now. Because they're going to walk into your house and they're going to see you put a 15-SEER HVAC system in. They saw on your website you made some energy claims for savings on the house and having high-efficiency homes. And then they go into the laundry room and they see Energy Star appliances, and now they go into the basement. And what do they find? Two 40 or 50-gallon electric water heaters with energy guides that say $558 a year. And they say, wow, you gave me two water heaters. That's kind of cool. But if I see two energy guides that say $558 and I add them up, that's almost $1,100 a year in operating costs just for hot water. We're talking about almost $100 a month just to heat water. And then they stand there and think, what did I see in the news about heat pump water heaters, and what did I see on some of those websites? There's one out there that only costs $170 a year to operate. Love the house, love the things you did, hate the water heaters. And then you're forced to take those water heaters out and switch them to an Energy Star water heater. Those are the things you have to consider. What is the homeowner going to want? What are they going to demand? Is this going to be immediate? No. But it certainly is something you got to have in the back of your mind as you design and build houses to make sure that a heat pump water heater will work in that space. Because the worst thing that could happen is the water heater is jammed into a very small compartment someplace that made sense for a standard electric water heater, but it makes no sense for an Energy Star heat pump water heater. So the question is how long will it take before the American public pulls this product through and says, I require Energy Star appliances, I require a high SEER HVAC system to keep my costs down. I also now require an Energy Star heat pump water heater. I've just nailed the top 3 energy users in the home, 1, 2, 3, with the highest efficiency products that there are. And the thing is this is significant savings. This isn't just chasing a shadow and thinking you might see something. These are products that have been tried and tested and proven by every utility in this country that they actually do what they say they do. And you know that, again, because of utility dollars that are being provided to help this industry get off the ground and making these changes. So back here, HERS scores. This is kind of a generic map. I encourage you, go to your HERS evaluator today. Ask them to start plugging in the numbers of efficiency for the main manufacturers out there. I think Rheem is at a 2.45. A.O. Smith 2.75, GE's at a 3.1. Have them punch those numbers in and see what happens to the HERS score of your house to see how many more points you get. And then start doing the math to say, what did this do for me? What did this do for me, and how much did I have to spend to get it? And is there something else that I've done in the house that only earned me 1 or 2 HERS points? It might be a $300, $400, $500 thing I had to do that if I didn't do it, the water heater overcomes those 2 or 3 points by giving me 2 or 3 times the number of points. And now I just help pay for the water heater. That's one way of being able to look at that. But there's one other direction that you can go, and some of you may be taking advantage of this and others are not, and that'll be utility rebates.